A3, the architect's medium. An A3 sheet is 420 by 297 millimeters. The width of the A3 sheet can be divided into 4 segments of 105, and the height of the A3 sheet can be divided into 3 segments of 99. The A3 sheet is twice the size of an A4 sheet and half the size of an A2 sheet. An A2 sheet is half the size of an A1 sheet, which in turn is half the size of an A0 sheet. The A0 sheet is equivalent to 1 square metre. The dimensions of the A0 sheet are 1189 by 841 millimeters. The length of the longest side of each sheet divided by the square root of 2 will give you the length of the shortest side of each sheet. In 1791, the French decided that a metre would be 1/10,000,000th of the quadrant from the North Pole to the equator. This means that the Earth's meridional circumference works out to be very close to 40,000 kilometres, being exactly 40,007.86 kilometres long. At this juncture, I would like to point out that there is a curious thing about the longest side of the A0 sheet, that dimension being 1189, which just happens to be the number of chapters in God's Word. Back to the A3 sheet. Using standard Hebrew gematria, which is the exchange of letters for numbers, using a standard numbering system, we have the following values. The gematria for the Hebrew word for created is 203, as shown by the orange text. The gematria for the Hebrew word for God is 86, as shown by the yellow text. The gematria for the untranslatable word eighth is 401, as shown by the green text. The gematria for the Hebrew word for the heaven is 395, as shown by the blue text. The gematria for and is 407, as shown by the pink text. And the gematria for the Hebrew word for the earth is 296, as shown by the light purple text. And the gematria for and the earth is 302, as shown by the dark purple text. Each of these numbers, which are the first 8 words in Genesis chapter 1, excluding the first word, each of these numbers can be located onto the A3 sheet in accordance with the divisions that I explained earlier, the 105 quarters and the 99 thirds. So the A3 sheet has 12 units, which are 105 wide by 99 high. And if we were to place these on a Cartesian graph, the 105 would represent the x direction and the 99 would represent the y direction. If we begin with the blue 395, which is located in the middle of the longest side on the top edge of the A3 sheet, and come down 1 unit of 99, we will land on the number 296, which just happens to be the gematria for the earth. If we then move 2 units to the left and take away 105 each time, so a total of 210, we land on the number 86, which just so happens to be the gematria for the Hebrew word Elohim, which is God. If we come back to the number 296 and then move 1 unit to the right, we add 105, which lands us on the number 401, which just happens to be the gematria for the untranslatable word eighth. From the number 401, if we move 1 unit downwards, we take away 99 and land on the number 302, which just happens to be the gematria for and the earth in Hebrew. From the number 302, if we move 1 unit to the right and we add 105, we will come to the number 407, which just happens to be the gematria for and in Hebrew. If we come back to the number 302 and move downward 1 unit and take away 99, we will land on the number 203, which just happens to be the gematria for the Hebrew word created. The 2 references in the text to the earth are not without significance. This is particularly so in relation to the measurement that has been derived from a quadrant of the Earth's circumference and its relationship to the international standard for the size of paper. Since the standard A0 sheet is equal to exactly 1 square metre and all its derivatives are measured in millimetres, which are divisions for the standard measurement known as a metre. The work that I've presented to you was authored by Vernon Jenkins, which he has entitled as The Legacy. During the course of preparing this video, I decided to add up the following 6 numbers: 203, 86, 401, 395, 407, and 296. The total of these 6 numbers is 1788, which I thought was curiously close to the year 1791, which was the year the French National Assembly officially and legally adopted the definition of a metre from the French Academy of Sciences. Upon closer scrutiny, I discovered that in 1788, the French chemist Antoine Lavoisier commissioned a set of 9 brass cylinders, a French pound and decimal subdivisions thereof, for his experimental work. This would appear to be the first physical representation of the metre before its official adoption by the French National Assembly. Before I conclude, there are 2 last things I'd like to say. The first thing is that the 9th word in Genesis chapter 1, which is the Hebrew word for was, that Hebrew word has a gematria of 420. So the second verse goes, "And the earth was without form and void." The Hebrew word for was has a standard Hebrew gematria of 420, which is the dimension of the longest side of an A3 sheet. The second thing I'd like to say is that when you take that dimension, or that value, 420, and divide it by the square root of 2, the number you get is 296.98, which is rounded up to 297 to form the dimension of the shortest side of an A3 sheet. However, if that number is simply taken as an integer without rounding up, that is the same value as the standard Hebrew gematria for the earth, as shown by the light purple 296 shown on the left.